thanks for attending this workshop. I'm Denis Thy, I'm pre-sales engineer for AVSimulation, and I'm here with my colleague Victor.
Hi, hello everyone.
And the goal of today's workshop is to introduce you to the scenario part of Scanner and to teach you how to control actors and trigger an event in Scanner Studio. So this is the agenda for today. We'll start with a Scanner introduction, then we will see the new scenario storyboard that we introduced in June this year. Then we will have a demonstration on Scanner Studio, and then some information for you to take away. So first, as some of you may know or not, I'm not sure who's attending exactly, but Scanner is a simulation engine that can be used for many topics, such as headlights, sensors validation, driver in the loop, with ADAS validation, vehicle dynamics, and so on. And it can be used throughout the whole V cycle. So from design with driver in the loop to validation, also driver in the loop or hardware in the loop, and also vehicle in the loop in the end. This is just a quick summary of who we are. So we're working for AVSimulation, as we said earlier. And AVSimulation offers actually 3 products, so the Scanner software that we'll see today, but also driving simulators and services around Scanner and the simulators as well. We invest in research and innovation, working with institute and so on. And it's a complete tool that can be used by many teams in the industry. So the ADAS team, the headlights team, the human factors, and so on. And we are the one who provides Scanner, as I said, and we are expert in creating content for Scanner, creating scenario, environment, interfacing other tools with Scanner, and so on. And this is just to show you a quick process of how Scanner works. The first step is to have an accurate model in order to have an accurate simulation. So you will design the road model, the vehicle model, you can import it as well, the scenario, the sensors. And once you've done that, you may have some third party that you would want to integrate, like your ADAS algorithm on C++, on Simulink, I don't know. And the first step is to choose where you want to launch the simulation. So do you want to do it with model in the loop on a workstation or on the simulator on the cloud? That's up to you. Scanner can support them all, and it can be all used. You can use the same scenario for all these use cases. And then in the end, we provide an analyzing tool as well. So you could replay the scenario and display graph and have different point of view in order to analyze them. But you could also export the data and use your own analyzing tool. So that's the idea of Scanner Studio. And we'll jump right into the new storyboard feature that has been introduced in June, as I said. So the idea is to get closer to our customers, to our customer use case, how they use it. So this is, for example, the specification that you may have in your teams or from the other teams that you're working with. So in this case, we'll handle a pretty simple scenario, a cut in and then a cutout from a car. So it will be divided in 4 steps. For example, you can first do the speed initialization of each car. Let me switch to laser pointer, and then you can have forward conditions. So if the target speed is reached for each car, you can say, okay, we can move forward in the scenario, and you can say otherwise, if it takes too long, it's not necessary to run the scenario. So you could stop the scenario and save time. And then the second step would be the cutting. It's pretty simple. That will be the cutter vehicle with the cutter car. We will overtake the ego vehicle and then cut in between the ego and the first target car. And here again, you can have forward condition and failure conditions. So in this case, if there's a collision, for example, you can say, okay, it's not necessary to continue the scenario. And then you have the step 3 and also the step 4, which is a cutout. It's pretty much the same. I don't want to go too much into details. And then you end the scenario. So from what you can see here, if you had to do a diagram, I would say, or to design the storyboard for a better view, you would have the first step, the speed initialization. And then you will define the condition to end the scenario, the timeout in this case, and also the condition to continue forward. And then the cut-in and so on, and then you can finally reach the end of the scenario. And so this is the idea, and this is what we did try to do our best to transcribe into Scanner. And this is what it would look like in the Scanner Studio directly. So you can see the free cores here and the different steps. There's some outputs for them and so on. And so this is the scenario. I just want to show you a visual scene of the scenario before jumping into Scanner. So we did the first step, the initialization, where each core just initialize and get to the right speed, and then there's the cut-in, and then the stabilization, and then a cutout in the end. So that's the idea. And now we will switch to Scanner Studio to do to show you directly in Scanner Studio. So I have it opened here. I already prepared the scenario a bit, so I added three core. I renamed them and changed some of the parameters. So there's the driver, for example. I forced them to stay on lane here. And directly when preparing the scenario, the target is the same. And then we have the cutter who is also the same. So the idea here is we'll try to build the scenario I talked about during that I show you. So this one, we'll try to reproduce it in Scanner. And for that, we'll use a storyboard. So I can go here and add a step. So I can rename my first step, for example, step 1, and say, yeah, maybe manage speed, I would call it. I'm sorry. That manage speed. And then, yeah, you could add this or short description of this step is to manage the initialization of the cars. For example, yeah, you can add whatever you want. And then you can add a script. So here the script will be to initialize it as we saw before. Right here, the goal is to do this step now. So I'll have the speed initialization script. I'm just going to open it. I'm going to rename it initialization. Then I will first add a variable. This will be the target speed. So it's an output variable that we use for the forward condition. So what I just did is to define this variable here that we'll use. And now I will just go, I will create a rule. The first rule would be to set we can set the parameters for our ego core, for example. We can set the safety time. So this will define the distance between our ego core and the other cars in front of him. So it's pretty simple. So I will add a condition here, and I want to do it as soon as the scenario is beginning. So I know I have a function that is called scenario beginning here, and you can just click OK. If you have any doubt about which function is available, you can always access it here from help, scripting help. It should open this interface, and you can search for, I don't know, safety, for example, and you can get all the functions that are available that has safety in it. And so I'm doing it in mice, but you could also do it in Python. I can show you the script. In fact, just give me a second. It's here. So we provide some default script. You could have your own, of course, but if you go to the data folder of default, you have this script folder here in Python, and so you can use it as a standalone. So only the Python script would be replacing my initialization script, or you could also just call them in your my script. So for example, set maximum speed, you would be able to set the maximum speed for a Python script instead of having to do it in mice. This depends on what you prefer, I would say. I can then insert and then action. So here the goal is to use safety time, sorry, set the safety time of the ego core. I'm going to put 3, for example, here. So here I have I just set the ego's behavior, then I can add another rule for the other cars. So I'm adding a rule, and this time I want to set the speed of the target car. So I'm just going to say set speed. I'm just going to put it in caps lock. Target car. And this is the same. I want it to happen as soon as the scenario begins. So I'm going to use the same function here, and then I'm going to use set speed here. Set speed target. So the description is also here, and you can also find it in the documentation. So here I'm choosing the car, so it's the target. I want it to be at 90, sorry, and then okay. And what else? So we can also set the speed of the cutter car. So I'm going to do the same. Actually, what I can do is just I'm doing copy and paste now, and you can see it's pretty fast. I'm moving the rule after this way. I'm sorry. Yeah, and I'm renaming the rule, so it's not the target, it's the cutter now. And I'm going to change some. I just double clicked to access it, and I can say cutter, and maybe I want it at 80 and not 90. And one last thing I will do is to set this variable. So because right now it's just a variable, but it doesn't mean it's just a 0 and nothing will change it. So I'm going to add a last rule, and here is set the variable, so target speed. Sorry, variable. And in this case, I want it to be refreshed at every step of the simulation. So I'm going to use a function that is called isTrue. So this will be true at each step of the simulation. I'm adding it, and then I'm adding an action, which is the set variable, because yeah, that's what I want to do. So yeah, I think that's the name. We have it, and then here. So this is the variable. I only have one, so it's this one. And what we can do here, you could set a manual value, of course, but we want it to be a function here, and we want it to be the speed of the target car. So, and I know there's a get speed function here, and I'm just clicking OK. And now I need to say, okay, which car is it? So I'm going to choose vehicle here and choose target. So that's the idea. I think this is good enough for the initialization. And what we will need now is the forward condition and the failure condition. So let's add the forward condition. Here you can change the name. So we can say, reach speed, reach target speed here. And yeah, I can choose the type. So it's a script output. That's why I had a output variable here. And yeah, and then there's only one script now, so initialization, and only one variable. If you had more, you could have more. So I'm also adding a condition. So we can say, for example, this condition is met when target reach the speed target. And here I can add the value. So I'm going to put 90. And you have other things. So you could use Python also. You can use timeout. You can use range. We'll see the timeout right after. Because I have custom one also with user condition. And yeah, so let's say we're happy with that. And now I'm going to add the failure. So I'm just going to add condition. It's the same. So I can say timeout, for example, and say this condition is met after it's met, sorry, if the forward condition, not the forward condition, sorry, the speed target isn't reached after, I don't know, like 60 seconds, for example. And then here I can use timeout, and then here I'm just going to put 60. And now, yeah, that's the step one. And I won't go through the whole 4 steps because it will take some time. But luckily we have already this scenario in the default configuration, so you could use it, and you can see the end results. And I have prepared a video to show you the results. So let me just get back into the slide. I'm going to skip this part. We already seen it. This is the description. We can skip it also. And here I prepared this scenario just yesterday. And you can see the whole thing here. So I opened the scenario first. It's in the default configuration. As you can see, you should also have it if you have the 2021. And here, yeah, that's the scenario we had. So 3 cars, the ego, the cutter, and the target. And yeah, you can see the different step and so on. I'm just going to skip a bit here, but you can see it by yourself if you have Scanner already, or we can provide you with a trial license. So I started the modules now, and I'm going to launch the simulation. So here you can see on the left side, you can see the step that is highlighted is the current step. So right now we are at initialization, sorry. So this is the driver view for the Ego car, and on the top you can see the supervisor view. Still in step 1. Now we're getting into step 2. So the blue car should overtake and then cut in. We can see it appears on the visual, and then it cuts in. And we should go into step 3 very soon. Now we're in step 3. It's just a stabilization for 10 seconds. And then we will have the cutout now. So we cannot see it in the supervisor view anymore, but we can see it directly. Oh, we can now see the cutter now. And then it should be the end of the scenario very soon. I think it's ending when they reach the end of the road. I'm not sure if I captured everything. No, it's there. So yeah, that's the idea. You could open the scenario on your scanner version and then run it as well. It should be working fine. So that's the main thing I wanted to share today. And I thank you for your attention if you're still there. And one other thing that I want to share with you is the quick start that we released few weeks ago, I think. And it's a step-by-step guide for beginners and intermediate users. So you have very simple things like how to download the evaluation version of Scanner, how to install Scanner, how to start, how to build your first scenario, to more advanced things like how to configure your visual, your screen to make the most out of it. So you can check it out. You can access it from our website. I will show you right after this slide. And there's ready to use examples. So ADA system, there's AB, LK, and so on. And yeah, you can go to the website and I will show you where you can access it. So I'm on avsimulation.com right here. And if you go to Scanner, free downloads, here you can request the trial version of Scanner. Just click here, and we have this Scanner's quick start. So I'm just clicking on it, and here you can access it. And as you can see, there's a lot of different kind of starters. And if we go to first launch, for example, you can see here you can just navigate through it, and there's a getting started to have you start. You can run Scanner Studio and so on. So there's how to create a configuration, and then you can go to the next step, and so on. So this is a very user-friendly guide. If you have any things that you don't understand, feel free to reach us. We'll help you through it. I'm just going back to the AVSimulation page. Sorry. And just I have one more slide for you. So this is this is the last workshop of 2021 for AVSimulation, and we're very happy that you always come and you're here with us. You're interested. So we decided to continue doing workshop next year. I'm just going to switch back to the pointer. So we'll have two kinds of workshop next year. Sorry, we'll have a get started with Scanner. So the idea here is to introduce you Scanner Studio, how to design an experiment, how to analyze the results, and so on. And this happens the first Wednesday of each month of 2022. It lasts 45 minutes, and yeah, it's led by one of our pre-sales engineer. So you can come and just get a refresh of Scanner, or if you have a new person in your team that is interested, you can also invite him. We will be very happy to have him. And the second kind of workshop we have, it's Meet the Expert. This is also one we have this year. And in this case, we'll change the format a little bit. We will have one pre-sales engineer and one expert on the field on each topic. So this is the topic for next year. If there's any topic that interests you and isn't here, feel free to share it with us. We will see how we can organize a workshop, or we can directly discuss with you if it's an important topic for you. But yes, feel free to reach us, and if there's any questions, you can use the chat, and please write your name so we can do a follow-up if we cannot answer it today. Yeah. So Victor has the chat, and he will read your question and will answer.
Thank you, Denis. So indeed, we have some questions. First of all, someone asked, can we use another programming language to script the scene?
So yes, that's what I showed you. You can use mice, as I said, and also you can use a Python script. So for example, here in this scenario, you could add add a Python script right here. I'm sorry, it's not here. It's here. So you can add an existing Python script. You can do a new one. This is something you can do. You can do everything I did. You can do in Python also. And there's two ways to use it, as I said. So this is the standalone way. It's the one I showed you here. It's in the standalone folder. We have some samples. And the second way is to call the Python script directly in within the my script. So in this case, you would use this kind of this part of the sample we provide.
Great. I can see another questions. Someone asked if you can show us where you can find the scenario that you present today.
Yes, so this scenario, this is one I built, but the one I showed in the video is in the default folder. So I'm just going to close this one, and then you can do file, open scenario. And here you have, so this is my folder, and then you have the default folder right here, and there's a lot of different scenarios, but it's this one, the first one actually, the cut in, cut out. If I open it, you can see it's the same, the exact same. I can install it even to show you. I lost my mouse, and then we can play it. Oh yeah, we also need traffic, sorry. And yeah, so it's the exact same. I won't replay it, you already seen it, but it's the exact same with the same script and it will be the same results. But you have access to it. You can, if you just take the trial version. So once again, it's in Scanner, free downloads here. If you request this trial version, you will have access to it basically.
Okay, and now we have a last question, and do not hesitate to put your name when you ask your question like that. We can come back to you later if you want to have more precision. But now we have a question saying that, can we change the behavior of the driver?
Yes, so this is completely possible. So the first thing I showed you here is if I double click, or if I just do right click and edit instance, you have here, you have the driver behavior here. This is the default, not the default setting, but the settings we put before starting the scenario. And the other thing is you can change it during the scenario. You could use events to change them. You can change them at the beginning. So we did it in the initialization actually. So we used the set safety time here. And in this case, when we did that, we just changed this safety time here, this safety time parameter. So the idea is you can do it during the simulation with some condition, or in the beginning, or you could do it before starting the simulation, when setting the simulation, when adding the code, and so on. And so this is one behavior, and the other part, the other thing they can do is to force the change lane. For example, if you can do all the overtaking, you have function in mice to do it. So if I use the scripting help, so to access it, it's in help, scripting help. You can force the lane changing. For example, if I put lane here, you could go to right lane, go to left lane, or go to a specific lane. This is this is all function that you can use to have a very specific behavior for your cars. And this works with Ego, but also all the other cars of the simulation.
Super, thank you, Denis.
Okay.
I don't have any more questions on my side. So if you have more questions, do not hesitate to contact us or to come back to us with your question. We will be happy to answer you. So now I'm gonna let the end to Denis.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for the attending. I hope this helped, and yeah, From all the AVSimulation team, we wish you a happy holiday and we'll see you next year.